I'm talking about acknowledging the enemies of humanity as the true psychopaths that they are, knowing not even it being unlikely that they're going to change, knowing from their track record they're just evil incarnate and they're not going to change. They've been broken and they're not going to become unbroken. They're not going to heal. You're not healing people, certain people. That has to be identified, okay? But this is part of what I consider the deepest level of real self-defense philosophy, and it's missing in self-defensive schools. You want to know why it's missing? What I'm going to explain to you is missing in almost every self-defense school, every school of martial art in the history of humanity. It's missing because the people who run those things don't have enough knowledge of the human psyche. They haven't studied it deeply enough. They don't have enough knowledge of human psychology. They don't have enough knowledge of the occult. That's why they don't teach this, okay? Because this is actually deep occultism if you really want to break it down, okay? What the qualities you have to bring into yourself when you're dealing with a true enemy of humanity are: there is no remorse toward them. There is no mercy toward them. They're not really a human being anymore. What the qualities that make a human being are absent in them. They're not going to stop. Therefore, I'm not going to stop. Okay? I'm not going to have any remorse for anything that I do to them when it gets switched on. Again, this isn't, your whole personality doesn't become this. Again, I'm talking about a little box that you keep tightly locked up so that you don't bring that out when it's inappropriate. And you keep it hidden away. You put this all way deep in yourself and you have it. You have it. You own it. You possess it. That's what having the psychopath means. To own it, to possess it. Now, here's the qualities. You need all the same qualities. The only thing that will ever truly defeat a psychopath is having the psychopath inside yourself that you could bring out in a bigger way. And arguably, you could even use the word a more monstrous way. You have to become more monstrous than them when the time comes to do physical combat. And you have to realize there are really 4 rules of engagement when it comes to a psychopath, to doing any kind of physical combat with a psychopath. No surrender, no retreat, no quarter, no prisoners. Those are the 4 rules of attrition war. A war of attrition has those 4 rules. Okay? So inside you got to switch off emotion. When you bring out the psychopath to do that type of true self-defensive war, you switch off your normal range of emotions. That means there is absolutely no mercy to the enemy. Okay? You're not engaging in the normal qualities that you would engage in. You're deliberately walling off qualities that are reserved for people who deserve them at this point. And you're saying you will receive none of these qualities. You will only receive the negative qualities because you've proven we can't coexist. We can't live in the same world together. And one of us has to go. And that's a hard thing for most people. Most people don't have that. And that's why I'm trying to explain. They need to develop it. They need to have it. They're afraid of that. Most people are scared to death of that. And they're scared to death of it because they feel they're such a bad person that they would not be able to control it. That's why they're scared of developing it. The people who are scared of developing that, deep down inside of themselves, know that they're not good enough to control it. And they'll bring it out at an inappropriate time. So they're not comfortable enough with themselves and their own morality to realize this is something that has to be had and kept to wage against the enemy at the appropriate time. So I keep telling people all the time, and I don't know whether they understand what I'm saying, that I am not a psychopath. I have a full range of deep human emotions and passionate emotions, and really, really feel deeply what is going on around me, from all ranges, in every range, positive and negative. But so I am not a psychopath because I have all of those emotions and I display them and experience them and express them. But I have a psychopath. I have worked with and developed that aspect of my personality such that when the time comes to do combat in whatever form, I will not, one, ever back down or surrender. I'm coming until one person is gone. I will never retreat. That means there's no backing up. You don't retreat. You don't move backward. And this is another thing people don't understand about any form of combat. No battle is ever won on the defensive. Ever. Ever. Military generals know this, but the average population doesn't know this. And all our side has been doing is backpedaling, backing up, backing up, backing up, backing up, moving backwards. We're moving backwards while the enemy is charging forward. We don't have them on the back pedal. They have us on the back pedal. You know, that's why they're winning. You never win any engagement on in the reverse by backing up, by retreat, ever, ever. You watch any martial art, you watch any combat sport, watch boxing, watch MMA, no winner has ever taken the winning position by backing up or fighting on the defensive. You don't fight on the guard. Okay. You could say people have won in MMA fighting in the guard position, but they have eventually had to go for a submission. Okay. From that position. So they had to press it forward at some point to gain a tactical advantage. If you keep backing up and keep fighting on the guard, the most you could hope for is a bad stalemate. Okay. Which is not what we want either. Okay. Because would we want a stalemate and the world be kept like this? I don't think so. The point is, most people do not understand these rules of engagement because they think that that's somehow bad. It isn't bad if you're definitely fighting the real bad guys and you're in the right and you're the real good guys. That's why I'm saying it's important to engage the trivium and be sure that you're correct. Be sure, first of all, that you're right, that you're in the right. So the answer is, are we in the right? The question is, are we in the right? The answer is, we've applied the trivium process. We understand the difference between right and wrong. We understand objective morality. We're definitively in the right. We don't believe that we're in the right. We are. And that's not a religious statement. A lot of religionists say that. That's why I understand a lot of people compare people who understand natural law to a religion, but it is not. Because this is objective, real world, non-religious thought and thinking and understanding that is about actions that we perform in the world and whether we have the right to do that or not, to do those things or not, because they either do not initiate harm or they do initiate harm, which is very real world and measurable. It's very real material in the world, in the physical domain, and measurable. And that's how we apply the trivium and quadrivium to natural law, to understand it, to know it. Okay, so first, make sure you're in the right. Make sure you're on the right side and you're really one of the good guys. Then, when you are engaging, you have to understand engaging in the concept and the behavior of having the psychopath does not make you bad. You are doing what is required to deal with the bad people. No part of that would make you bad. Okay. And it's part of being a spiritual warrior. It's part of being a warrior along the true spiritual path. And that's why we don't really have many warriors on our side. We have people who are wishy-washy, very, very wishy-washy people. That's the only way I could put it. They're deep down inside, when it came down to it, I wouldn't want them next to me holding a weapon. I wouldn't want them fighting alongside of me. I'd worry more about them, honestly, than I would about the enemy, quite frankly. We have weak, wishy-washy people in this movement. Weak, wishy-washy people. The amount of warriors in the truth and freedom movement, you could probably count them on a couple hands. And I don't know, is that ancestral? Is it past life related? I don't know. Is it some experiences, did they really mold us into that? Hey, I get very upset about things that people would say, oh, I thought you were harder than that. I'm not talking about getting upset about like how bad the state of the world is and how immoral people are. I'm talking about if it came down to real combat, what would you do to a person who's trying to take you out of the world? And do you realize that's that's not just a potential of happening, really. It's already happening. This is already going on. Eugenics is already being waged. Okay? What they're putting in the air, in the water, and in the food is already a biological attack. What they're putting in alleged so-called medicines is already a biological attack. What they're doing with all of the closures is already a biological attack against the physical organism of the human being. You know, it's not something that is going to start. We're already at war. It has started. It has already been being conducted. That's what people still don't understand. They think taking action against something like that would somehow be wrong. They're already taking action against you. It doesn't matter that it's covert action. It's already action that has real world physical consequence. And people don't think that we have the right to stop them.